It's time to bring out the BetterWorldian in all of us. Welcome to BetterWorldians Radio with your hosts, Ray, Mary Sue, and Gregory Hansel. BetterWorldians Radio inspires you with the people and ideas that are making the world a better place. You'll hear how small acts can make a big difference every day. Now, here are Ray, Mary Sue, and Gregory.
Hi, welcome to BetterWorldians Radio. BetterWorldians Radio is a weekly podcast whose mission is to uplift and inspire you to make the world a better place. I'm Greg Hansel. BetterWorldians Radio is brought to you by BetterWorldians Foundation and is co-hosted by the family team that created the popular social game on Facebook called A Better World. It rewards players for doing good deeds while helping to raise money and awareness for charities. To date, over 40 million good deeds have been done in a better world by more than 4 million people in over 100 countries. This week on BetterWorldians Radio, we welcome Sheldon Smith, founder of the Dovetail Project, a nonprofit with a mission to give young African-American fathers the skills and support they need to be good fathers for their children and good men in their communities. Sheldon became interested in community service at a young age. He grew up with his father in and out of his life, so when his daughter was born when he was 20, Sheldon decided to break the cycle of fatherlessness. Since 2010, 245 young men have completed the Dovetail Project Program. Hi, Sheldon. Welcome to BetterWorldians Radio.
Hey, hello. How are you?
Great. Thank you for joining us. So I know you were inspired to start the Dovetail Project at a fairly young age. Can you tell our listeners about starting?
Yeah, so I was inspired in starting the Dovetail Project because I grew up doing community organizing across the country for an organization by the name of MAGIC, which is a short acronym for Metropolitan Area Group for Igniting Civilization. And it was really at that organization where I learned all about immigration, HIV and AIDS, youth and gang violence, education, and just health. And in going around to do rallies to create policy for those issues for a lot of the people throughout our communities and across the country. But in me doing that work, my father was in and out of my life. I had a lot of great male mentors, and the founder of the organization, MAGIC, Dr. Joseph Strickland, gave me an opportunity to develop the Dovetail Project under his umbrella. And, and that's what led me to where I currently am today.
That's a great story. So what's the mission of the Dovetail Project?
So the Dovetail Project is an initiative to teach young African-American fathers between the ages of 17 to 24 parenting skills, life skills, and felony street law. And when the fathers complete the program, they receive a job, a GED, or a trade along with the $300 stipend.
Oh, that's great. Where does the title of the Dovetail Project name come from?
So Dovetail means to bring things together. And one of the things we wanted to bring together is fathers and children. I didn't want to name it, the Fatherhood Institute or anything like that because I wanted to give it its own unique branding space.
Sure.
And I came up with the Dovetail Project.
I think that's a great name. So
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. How do you select the young men to participate in the program?
So we go out through the communities across the city of Chicago, and we recruit young men by giving them literature on the program, giving them an opportunity to then go online to submit an application to the organization. And once we receive the application, one of our staff members reaches out to them and give them an opportunity to come in and do an orientation screening session where we understand the father needs and what they need, and are we a great fit for them? And if we're not a great fit for them, or they're not a great fit for us, what other organizations can we send them to get the help and support that they need?
Oh, that's wonderful that you do that as well. So I know the program's broken up into 3 different segments. I'd like to talk a bit about each of those. The first I know is about the law, street law and family law. So can you tell us about that aspect and why it's so critical?
Yeah, so the felony street law component is critical because the young men that we serve who are fathers between the ages of 17 to 24, you cannot talk about parenting and fatherhood if you don't talk about avoiding a criminal justice system. And our young men who are fathers, when we look at fatherhood and the communities that these young men come from, they come from urban environments where their interaction with the police is extremely high. So in one portion of felony street law, we talk about how to avoid the criminal justice system. And we bring in attorneys and police officers to speak to them too as well. And then the other portion of felony street law, we look at family law and how and how being on child support can, you lose your license or you can be sent to jail. And also, if you want to go to court and get custody of your children or, go and apply for guardianship as a father too as well. So, that is one particular component that we use to inform the young men, but also we're making sure as an organization that we allow them an opportunity to understand the laws that may railroad them into the incarceration system.
Right. Now, I know the second segment of the program is about careers and finance.
Yes. So the second component is life skills. And within life skills, we go over resume building, tie and ties, soft skills. We do mock interviews, so we have employers come in and do interviews with each one of the students individually to help critique them. And then we look at financial literacy, how to, what is a checking account, what is a savings account, what is a CD, different ways to finance certain things. What is a great credit score, right? These are things that oftentimes as young people, you wind up messing up and doing something wrong, not understanding that you will need your credit all throughout your life to buy a home or whatever you want to purchase. If you would like to purchase a car, or purchase a building, or whatever that is, so that and we look at budgeting too as well, and helping them think about how to manage and spend their finances when it comes to their children and families.
That's such a great education. It's so easy to make those mistakes when you're young and not understand how those choices that you make, which just seem about having fun at the time, have these repercussions later on in life. So that's wonderful that you do that as well.
Thank you.
Sure. So I know the final segment, of course, is all about fatherhood. What do you exactly focus on with that?
So for our young men who come to our program, they're not mandated to come. They are not court appointed. They volunteer their time to come to our program. And 90% of them have grown up with their fathers in and out of their lives. So they're really starting behind the eight ball. And we end on fatherhood because that's the reason why the fathers actually came to the program, to learn how to be a better dad. And before we talk about fatherhood, we talk about manhood. We talk about what is manhood and how do they identify with the world as a man, and what does it mean to be a man? What are the importance of being it in? And we start with that because before you can say fatherhood, that's who they are. They're men. And then we engage fatherhood and we talk about the do's and don'ts and, how to effectively communicate to your child. We look at the development of the child when the child is in the womb and the importance of, talking to the baby or playing with the baby or reading to your baby and just being active and being there for some of them, for their wives, and for the other ones, for the mothers of their children. And just really engage them and let them know that fatherhood doesn't come with a map or a manual. Fatherhood is, it isn't blue, green, or orange. It's no perfect way to parent. And, to express that to them so that they know it as they're parenting, that oftentimes as parents, we make mistakes too as well. And it's okay to make mistakes. It's just critical that you overcome those mistakes and continue to stay involved in your children's lives. And for us, that's very important. So me personally, as the founder of the organization, I do this work because I was the kid who grew up with a father in and out of his life. Sure. And I really do it for the kids so that they will not grow up feeling that same experience. And the only way you can engage the children is engaging the parent. And oftentimes when you talk about parents, people typically think of the mothers and not the fathers. The fathers need help and support too as well. So that's our goal in our parenting component.
That's amazing work you're doing. As a father myself, I know that, there is no manual. You get some advice from people, you read some books, but at the end of the day, you have no idea what you're doing, and you're just kind of taking a shot and going for it. And I think hearing from someone that has experience that, hey, you might make mistakes, you might mess up, but just keep going, spend time with your kids, love your kids, and move forward is really powerful.
That's right.
We'll talk more with Sheldon Smith, founder of the Dovetail Project, in just a moment. But right now, I'd like to take a brief break and tell our listeners a bit about our game on Facebook called A Better World. A Better World encourages habits of goodness, positive mindsets, and giving to social causes to make a positive difference in the world. Players do things like express gratitude, share acts of kindness, send get-well notes to real-world sick kids, and more. You can find out more at abetterworld.com. So now, let's get back to our conversation with Sheldon Smith, founder of the Dovetail Project. So, Sheldon, how did you come up with the curriculum for the education aspect of this? Was that based on your own experience? Did you bring in some outside expertise? How did you put it together?
Well, in the beginning, I put it together because of my own experience with my father. My father had me at the age of 18. Mm-hmm. He was in and out of the criminal justice system, and he lacked those fatherhood skills that he needed to be a great dad. He was a good dad, but I mean to be great. He's great right now. Mm-hmm. And if you want to be a great parent, that takes time too as well. So because of that, I was able to develop the curriculum, but then I enrolled into a program over at the University of Chicago mm-hmm. called the Accelerator Program, where they had an opportunity to review our curriculum, go over it, and do the research behind it, which, tells us that everything we're doing is correct for the population that we actually serve. So mm-hmm. I've been very fortunate to take something that is near and dear to my life and turn it into an initiative to help others.
That's great. University of Chicago is such a powerhouse of learning. It's wonderful that you were able to take what happened in your own life and your own intuition and your own skills and magnify that with what they had to offer. So what kind of feedback do you get? Oh, of course. What kind of feedback do you get from the men who participate in the Dovetail Project?
Well, in the beginning, everyone is trying to figure out, what is the method to the madness, right? What is this going to end up being? And all of our young men, we've only been successful because we've been able to impact 245 young men's lives. All of our young men have different opinions. Some, by the end of it, they want to go through it again because they really enjoyed it. Others have gone on to do great things like work at the University of Chicago or work at PNC Bank or Hyatt Hotels or Dustin & Clean, which is a property preservation company. Others have went on to gain custody of their children through the courts. And, and lastly, the rest have gained employment and went back to school to get their GEDs. So, our impact is across the board. But when we look at it, it's really a trickle-down effect. It's a family impact because once you impact the father, for us, you impact the household, mm-hmm. And you impact that child that father he's the child that the father has brought into this world. So
that's wonderful. So what's the most rewarding part of this work for you? What really gets you up in the morning?
Well, in the beginning, what got me up was my hurt and pain from, having my father in and out of my life. Mm-hmm. But what continues to pushes me forward is the young men we serve and thinking about, some of the stories of the young men who've been through our program and them really going on to do great things and how we've made an impact in their lives. We see them with their children doing great things. That's what continues to pushes me every day. And, when you have people who have supported your organization, whether they volunteered or they sent resources or they referred you to someone or they made a financial contribution, they believe in the work that we do too as well. And when you have so many people believing in the mission and vision that continues to pushes you to as well and recognize you for the work that you've been able to do. So, that's what a combination of things, but collectively those things continue to drive me forward because oftentimes in this work, it's difficult, it's stressful. And as the founder and CEO of the agency, That can oftentimes be lonely.
Sure.
Because you are, you're growing as a leader, and you have to continue to lead the team forward and, and make impact across the sector for the young men that you're serving.
Well, you're doing amazing work. It's an essential mission and vision, and I know as a business owner myself that there's a lot of stress, a lot of late nights, and so thank you for what you're doing. If you could tell our listeners how they can help support the Dovetail Project.
Well, right now we're in the middle of raising capital to replicate the Dovetail Project throughout the city. Mm-hmm. So if people can get online and make a contribution to the organization or send us some Pampers, wipes, some baby milk, even purchasing some venture cards from CTA, which is the Chicago Transit Authority, for the young men that we currently serve, that would be great, and we will greatly appreciate it.
Great. So one last question I have today. I ask a version of this question every week. In this case, how do you hope the Dovetail Project is helping to make the world a better place?
Well, I am hoping the Dovetail Project is making the world a better place through the work of fatherhood and really uplifting the narrative and getting an opportunity not just to make impact, but for people to have the conversation about why fathers matter and why fathers need help and support. And oftentimes, as men, we're overlooked because we're looked at as the breadwinners. Mm-hmm. And, everyone in this world struggles. Fathers do too as well. And I'm hoping in impacting fathers, we're impacting so many households, not just here, but encouraging others across the country to do this work too as well and get involved and get engaged and talk about fathers and why they matter and look for the resources they need. That's what I hope we're doing for the world.
You can learn more about Sheldon's work by going to thedovetailproject.org. Sheldon, thank you so much for joining us today on BetterWorldians Radio.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's our pleasure. BetterWorldians Radio is brought to you by BetterWorldians Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit whose mission is to make the world a better place by encouraging the very best in everyone. We believe it's as important to plant flowers as it is to pull weeds. We focus on positive thinking, positive values, and positive actions. In short, our vision is to bring out the better world in everybody so that we can all make it a better world. But we can't do it without your help. Donations support our BetterWorldians Radio podcast, as well as go to developing new features like articles, videos, blogs, and more. Go to BetterWorldians.com to be a part of this important mission. And until next time, please be a Better Worldian.